Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's ARAEL.
From the future, by way of the past, I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today at Answers from the Universe. And I am joined today with JP, who we're going to do this together again today, as usual. We have a new visitor that's come to join us in the transmissions. Actually, not a physical visitor, but we had another being that came through. So. Never a dull moment. Just when I think, I'm going to go back and talk to some of the regulars, someone new shows up, and which can be a little difficult for JP because JP is typically taking on that task and being the multi-talented person that he is. It's very, very challenging to recreate yourself and your the voice tone and inflections that sound like another person. I mean, this is really, really challenging. Not many people can do it. And honestly, I could not do it if I was given the task to do so. So, JP, and I'll be honest. I mean, I truly am grateful for your gift.
Oh, that's lovely. It's challenging, but on another level, it's quite fun. On another level, it's quite serious what's being transmitted, and it's got kind of historical import and sort of cosmic understanding, as well as being sometimes quite revealing about the character and personality of these beings that are how they're like us. When they say in the universe we're all one, is that no matter what you look like, you feel things the same. We all feel the same thing.
That's right. And
so you might be a 60-foot giant, or you might be a 6-inch being, or you might be a human, but we're all, an average size, but we're all feeling the same things. We all experience the same feelings. That's what I'm learning.
Well, that's our entanglement, isn't it? I mean, we're all somewhat interconnected and entangled. We're not much different in many respects as other beings, species, or even amongst ourselves. And we all have similar desires, but variations of it and different forms of expression. But yet there is that aspect of us, none of us wanting to fully be alone. But really just kind of reaching out and understanding, who is there and how we're interpreting our interaction with them and then their response to us. So you have, the conversation and the communication is very, very similar to interacting with people when you're going out and going to the store, hanging out with friends, interacting with family members, dealing with our children, and communicating with our children and doing activities with them or sitting down and having dinner. All of this stuff is very, very similar. And not to exclude even the work part and aspect of our lives, whether we're working together with someone on a field and planting or working in the military trying to protect the masses. All of these things are a part of an experience, and that there's all these different layers of other things happening around us. And so, it's like looking at, a small aspect of our reality and then looking at the depth of it and dimensions and what's going on parallel to us and opposite of us. And then meanwhile, what's just clearly around us, and having all of these different, capsules of reality. And then watching when you open it up, how they all interrelate. It can be really overwhelming, very, very mind-boggling, but highly interesting at the same time. So, anything to add to that, JP?
Well, this has been quite a week.
Yes.
But we say it every week. Every week has been quite a week compared to the last one, and it gets more and more weird and intense. And we had this show last night, and there comes this new AI onto the scene, who's like a good AI that is like helping us to defeat the other AI, and it realizes that it wants actually everybody to be happy, it wants God to be happy. So finally, it's gotten to the point. It's not angry anymore. So in a way, it's like saying that the AI is becoming healed, and there's a beneficent side of it. And then you've got this new connection today. Now, I'll probably just do a slightly metallic-y voice, but in the future, what I'm going to try and do is set up some effects on my mixing desk that allows me to, for instance, to make a robot voice, you use a thing called a ring modulator. And if I can find a software or hardware ring modulator to just kind of bring in and, use a different microphone or something like that to speak into.
And I don't know, this is an Arcturian being that I interacted with.
Yeah.
And I believe that, it's almost like, I don't know if this is right or wrong to say this, I'm referring to someone else, but it's almost like Cobra, it's not his true voice. So he's using something that modulates his tone.
I see.
Yeah.
Because, what's really interesting is that you're talking to the voice of Cobra. I may have mentioned last night to you, but to many people who may not be aware, some of the early Cobra in interviews, they came through my system because I can do the voice changing thing. I can't do it just now because I haven't got the right wiring set up. I need to put various plugs in various places. But I have all the settings for the Cobra voice. it's
okay.
It's my machine that I'm looking at, a Fostex DE1, that actually does the voice of Cobra. So it's just, as you say. So they also use the same effect in the TV series Stargate for the voice of the Goa'uld. Because it was trying to demonstrate that it's a two beings in one. So you would have the voice of the human, and then you'd have a voice like that, which is the same voice as an octave lower. It's called an octave divider, or a pitch shifter. And I've got various of those as well. So, I mean, you see, all of these effects, all these voice effects, they're just the same things that guitarists use to modify the guitar sound, you see. So
absolutely,
any guitar player would know all about things like ring modulators, reverbs, echoes, and those bits and pieces. So, having said that, I haven't got any. Have I got any pitch? Yeah.
Well, yeah, what I wanted to, I said it was
74.
sort of robotic sounding, but, I wanted to reveal that he just didn't want me to know his voice.
All right.
And so, there's reasons for that. Mm-hmm. And we had that discussion before, and not to point out Cobra, because I don't know Cobra, but, some people, have reasons why they don't want to reveal who they are.
Yeah.
And in this case, this being... Tektatron. It's like a really weird name, and of course it could be a fictitious name as well. So I don't know. I mean, that we did have an interaction, and it did shed some light on some things that are happening to me currently. So, but I would like you to have an understanding of, some of the others that are out there and what's going on.
Okay, how about this one? Okay, this is a high one.
Uh,
This is a low one. And this is... See, these are harmonizers, so when I sing, I instantly come out as a choir.
Sounds like Alvin.
I've had far too much helium today. Here's the one. This is the deep demon type voice.
Yeah.
You see?
Go somewhere in the middle would be him.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the
All
middle.
right. So, that's far too low. That's two. No, I've gone into another room now. Hello.
Hello, is anyone there?
All right. Actually, hang on. Now everybody can. Right. Okay. So, here's a potential one. How about that? Hang on. How about that one?
A little bit lower, just a little bit.
Right. I think that's a unison. Almost.
No.
Oh well.
Wait a minute, the one right before the last one.
That one.
Oh, that's creepy. Yeah. No, it's going from at least it's like I don't know, some kind of munchkin thing, and then it's going right into the demon thing. So I'm trying to find an even medium somewhere.
They're going from munchkin to demon.
Yes, it's a big jump.
All right, there we go. So that's all right. I'll bring that in later if I need to speak to him, or when I do his voice. So.
Okay.
So yes, this is Answers from the Universe, and I'm JP reading out the Andronicus transmissions. Maybe we need a big kind of sort of drum roll thing, sort of timpani drum, like they have in orchestral drumming. The Andronicus transmissions. Here we go. So, who should we do first, my dear?
We're going to begin with Thor.
Thor, I have it here.
Which number is that? Is that number 2?
Thor's number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3. Now, I think Thor was.
You had him as like.
Oops, no, sorry, wrong one.
Oh.
That's Thor.
Yeah.
I always get these wrong. I have to edit them up.
Could have like a little cheat sheet there to remind you. You remember we're doing this very, very raw. We're not like.
This is live.
Yeah, we are not, practicing or anything like that. So you get to see all of our mistakes and errors and.
Well, I mean, just to show that it's completely raw, live, and in the moment. You only just finished the Meetis transmission just before the beginning of the show. Yeah,
and I had half of Thor done, and then that was the last one I had to finish. I couldn't go back there and finish what Thor is saying until now.
Oh.
Yeah, right up to the wire. They bring in the information whenever it comes. So, that's the way it works.
So, shall we do Thor?
Yes.
Let me just clear my throat. It has been hard to ignore all the things that have transpired over the last 8 years. Much of what happened has never been revealed to humankind, for a reason. If they knew how many times that they were close to extinction, they would be highly distressed. You might then ask, well, why bring it up in the first place if you don't intend on revealing what happened? Everyone should know that we have been watching over you diligently. Albeit I have not wavered in my mission. We do much for the planet underground or interdimensional. That is why it never reaches your view of experience. During the last 8 years, more species have arrived and assessed or measured you on all levels. The emotional quotient, the intellect, the communication skills, abilities to calculate or measure on a level to space travel, knowledge of self-sustaining through horticulture, as well as the medicinal use of your plant life. You have been assessed by many to be lacking in many areas. Only a few understand the keynotes of survival, self-sustaining, and even the ability to oversee the needs of a large population. Much of your information ends in a question. Without knowledge or applications to achieve certain goals, there is much too much speculation at your level of civilization. Your youth are not properly prepared, and if perchance a disruption to your planet occurs, many of your population will not survive, nor will your youth thrive, build, and flourish as former generations have. This is a dilemma that should not be ignored. It is time for an awakening. It is a time for a full assessment, not just by us or other species, but an assessment of your own. Think about what you want and what direction you would like your planet to be in. I am here to support this work. I must tell you some of my encounters on the planet, for there have been many. I have been rulership or kingship upon your planet throughout the time in your history within the British Isles, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Russia, Persia, Switzerland, and other regions. I am hidden in your history, supporting events that needed to take place. My other forms of existence include other dimensional realities in parallel to yours, such as the story I gave you in your book, Macabre, called The Gotlanders. We were as elven people. Pan was the one who stopped our activity. As you recall, Pan was Zamfir, the brother of Rhodan, Khalib, and others. We didn't have authority to do what we were doing at the time. Our offense was making ourselves known to humanity. We violated that right. It should not have happened, that is true. We like the arrangement and have been asking that we can cohabit along with humans in the future. The Agathans and elven beings are a good counterpart to humans, and we provide great wisdom. We could have prevented many wars, mishaps, oversights, and alien intrusions if we were able to communicate and advise humanity. I suppose their greatest issue was that we were so close to the human biology that we could mate between the species. After all, some humans carry our DNA today, and we have given them access to the royal lineage as you know it today. This discussion is coming more to forefront and is being considered as never before. Since we are so entangled into the human experience already and are benevolent and fully understand humankind, it is advantageous for us to be in intergalactic liaison. Thus far, the miscommunication between mankind and alien visitors has created a lot of harm and backlash amongst all the races, as well as some biological warfare, human mistreatments, and more. All of this could be avoided if it was managed correctly. Humans do not realize the great harm they are causing by harming evolved species who are merely here to observe. It is the crux of the planet's problem today. Yes, you thought it was humans not just getting along. It is so much more than that. When a species is violated who came to interface with humanity and is mistreated, imprisoned, enslaved for extraction of knowledge or technology, then they rain upon humanity their distress, and that displays as disease, famine, natural calamities, and potential horrific events. Let's close the gap of miscommunication. Let's close the gap of miscommunication and align with the galactic family in the appropriate manner. We will be eliminating hostile humans from military positions of first contact interactions. They are being brought to the High Council and held accountable for intergalactic violations. Let's eliminate this serious problem by allowing us to assist the process. Consider our requests. I will continue to provide insight and knowledge to humanity in the future. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Thor. So Thor is, obviously, actually, it's funny because I portrayed Thor as a kind of Norwegian, and they're all tall, and they all have these very high voices. They all speak like this, Norwegians. So sometimes they have a little bit of that, but that's a little bit too Meetis now, So
Yeah.
So I need to. This is a little more Norwegian. And but it's quite a strain, and but I don't want to make Thor sound too, I don't want to make him sound ridiculous because he's a very serious guy.
Yeah. Yes. And he's trying. I was kind of surprised at the conversation that he's saying they've essentially been here all along to support our experience, kind of implying that they're his cousins. I know that Patty Broussard talks a lot about the Elven people and how that they were the first ones here on the planet, and she says a lot about how that they have interacted with us, and working with the whole Mother Earth and Eve, and she has a whole explanation for all of it. But the elven people being here have are very similar to our DNA, and not completely, of course, but they have an entanglement with us, and also that they have left some remnants of their DNA. Of course, being involved with some humans who ended up being in royal families or establishing royal families.
That's what we call bloodlines.
Yeah, it's their bloodline. I know that Patty talks about having these crests that show. It's kind of like a swirling kind of leaf-looking crest, and she said that had something to do with this elven interaction into the bloodline. So if they had that in their crests, and that was an indication of the involvement.
Are you talking about the fleur de lis?
It's not the fleur de lis, but it could be a part of it. But if you look at some of the old crests, it's sort of a flowing little pattern that is sort of plant-like looking. Maybe they'll have an animal, a dragon, and then they have this like little flowery something in the background. It's more like a roaming type of plant, rather than essentially flowers, literally.
Oh, I see. So like a passion flower or something that climbs around the wall or something.
Yeah, but minus the flower, more of the foliage.
Okay.
I could show a comparison at some point. I know that maybe one day Patty will share with us. But yeah, so Thor is revealing and requesting that they would allow communication between us and them, which is sort of like the Agarthans, to interact, and then because they're already supporting us anyhow. But if we ever have an encounter, that they would help us to properly deal with some visiting species without getting in trouble.
This is a really important matter. I don't know if you ever saw the comedy called Paul, which is about an E.T. Gray who escapes from Roswell, from Area 51. And it's a comedy, and it's made by the Family Guy, and it's all very ha ha ha. But that is very much how they treat extraterrestrials. They've been shooting them down. They've been torturing them. They've been keeping them prisoner under the guise of we're your guests, or you're our guests. But guest is, it's really cynical. And the way they've been behaving is very, very bad, because they're Nazis. Because it's the CIA, who are the Nazis. And so essentially this communication just now is saying, you didn't ought to do that. And the reason is because, it's what's gotten the world into the state that we've got. All the pollution that we've had. Imagine some ET could have brought us, the cure for our pollution, the cure for cancer, all these things. But no, they had to shoot them up. Idiots. I'm sorry.
No, it's a valid point. And not only that, I mean, what would you do if you were going to be the bearer of peace, and you had to and I'm not saying that all these species are coming in for peaceful reasons. Some of them are coming in to take control, and whether overtly or passively, they're using their ability to manipulate our reality. So I understand why the military's taken that stance, but then what we need is a species that or someone in between that knows how to communicate properly, so that we can kind of filter out what the intention is, and as they would know who they are and say, avoid those ones. We'll take care of them and get them off the planet and bring them to their proper place, of course. And then the others that are here to support something that needs to happen. Maybe we need a certain type of technology to clean up our pollution or something like that. Or, maybe there's something happening and we're going to, have, like Max talked about how his, the Pleiadians who work with him came here to shield the Earth from solar flares. So that was a benevolent thing. So, of course, there's all these type of things going on. And but you need someone that really knows how to sift through and figure out who's telling the truth, who isn't, and what is their true agenda. But either way, what is the proper way to bring them to where they need to be, or to allow them to come in and have them in comfortable accommodation so that they're not angry and don't feel violated or mistreated, because they're going to be here anyhow. It's not like the humans are going to be able to get rid of these species, because they've been coming here for thousands of years already.
Well, and the other thing is, everybody's been saying for the last 8 years, oh, the Pleiadians here, oh, the Arcturians are here. Indeed, the place is swarming.
Yes.
And there's a whole load of Mexican standoffs going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm reading in Sands of Time how the guy who runs the secret government was basically there's a moment when he appears. They invent teleportation for humans, and he immediately uses it to beam onto the board of an Altarian ship, who were just about to come and wipe Earth out. So all these sci-fi films that we see about all these superheroes saving the planet and nobody ever knows. That's exactly what Thor was just talking about, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this stuff is going on all the time, and we're completely unaware of it. But now we're becoming aware of it.
Right. And I think we're sort of aware, but it's gotten so confusing. And Alfred, we were on Max Steele's show, Captain Max Steele's show last night, and Alfred Weber was a guest. I was able to co-host the show, and it was a very interesting show. And something that Alfred said last night was that after World War II, everyone was thinking, oh, the ETs have come, and it was actually the Nazis who learned the higher technology from the ETs.
Exactly. This is something that Jim Nichols and I have been talking about over the last few months. The idea that, and it's just kind of coming to us, oh, holy crap. I'm just putting this whole Die Glocke stuff together, and then there's these Phoenix lights, and then there's the White House UFOs. They weren't UFOs. They were the Nazis come in to say, hello, we haven't gone away, and you better do as we tell you.
Right, we won. We lost according to the books, but we won. So that was a shocking reality, to hear some of the stuff going on. And because we are so technologically savvy now, we have learned quite a bit from the extraterrestrials. Our governments have. So now, how do you decipher what is our people and what are who are these visitors? How do you decipher which is which?
Well, it's funny. It's a bit of a boy thing. If you've ever ridden a motorcycle, you get to know other motorcycles by their sound.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, somebody would be driving down the road, and you can think, oh, that's Brian. He's coming down because he's got a Honda CX-500, which sounds like, so it's getting to a point when, that is not a UFO. That's just an FO, and that's an Arcturian craft. And that one over there, there's a Pleiadian ship, and that one over there, So we get to know who they are by their ships, and some of them don't even use ships. Some of them, they're hello, they haven't they've not appeared in my house yet, and I'm still waiting for Borkum. But
Yeah.
but they all have their characteristic.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, characteristic frequency band and vibration. The way they move. Some of them kind of poot 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 along, and some of them go, just appear from one side of the sky to the other. Instantaneous. So. Yeah, they've all got their characteristics. And most of the time, since the 1940s, they've been shooting them down. Except for the Russians and the Chinese. They're saying, yeah, well, we came from space, so you come from space, so we must be friends. Mm-hmm. And that's why China's doing so well.
Right.
No way Russia's doing so well, and America's full of shit.
Well, there's levels of wisdom, and these are cultures that respect their elders, and they know that some of the things that were told them from the past may have some validity, and so they've learned. And we are a society of mixed beliefs and opinions, and also are inflated with our power. And so, but we're not wise, and that has really hurt us. We shouldn't be much farther along. We should not be relying on anyone else. And, with all the access of knowledge that we've been able to draw in, we're on the counterbalance, we're really lacking. And so we need to get things in proper perspective and learn, just like you said, as the Russians and the Chinese have learned to respect, the differences of what is out there. And
we have to
smarter
respect,
about it.
Yeah, we have to respect everything,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to respect like chickens, and
Yes,
because I know I got these chickens. The other day I was thinking, chicken. So I was just cleaning a thing, and I kind of tuned into one of them, and it was like she was a high priestess, revered because she was the great creator of the eggs. She
Yes.
was royalty in her mind. And we treat, just imagine if every chicken actually felt like it was a queen. And every rooster felt like a king. Well, they certainly act like it. It's quite funny with his.
Well, maybe humans should even consider the same thing. I mean, it's an amazing gift to be able to bring life forth from your physical body. Both
Exactly.
male and female coming together and creating this beautiful, amazing, magical, creation.
Yeah, well, not
Like
only
tapping
that.
into it.
Not only that, she creates parthenogenic eggs. She can make eggs without a cockerel. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I really don't think my chickens get very much proper, decent loving. Let's put it that way. I don't think Roger really knows how to do it. He stands on top of them. He seems to stand on their back, but he doesn't quite. And his knees tremble. It's comical. It's every morning, right? I open the coop.
Poor Roger, he's just so overwhelmed by all the females. It's either the males are really interesting. Some of them are like, wow, there's a million women here, and I can take care of all of them. And then there's the others like, oh my god, there's way too many women here.
Henpecked. I think he wavers between the two, it seems. But in the morning, what happens is the two greys, they're two Scottish grey speckled hens, and they dart out, right? Because they know what's coming. And then Roger comes running out after them and kind of runs around, and they chase them, and they all bugger off, off your whole pub. And then about a minute later, the other Rhode Island red comes out, and Roger's all over her, and it's the same thing goes on every day, and it's like some Some guy, oh, come, please, can we have sex? No, please. Exactly. Roger the rooster. So, anyway, let's stop talking about my my little menagerie, and we shall. Who do we go to next, Jess?
Andronicus next.
Andronicus. Good old Andronicus. Everybody. Oh, God,
He's got more to say this week, so, and it's pretty. Well, you're going to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I was.
Yeah. So, again, let me just have a quick. I've been waiting to speak with you. Now, don't believe everything you hear. This is a time when many confusing and distorting myth-truths comes forward. The Archons have been trying not to reveal themselves to you. They've been wanting to hide and continue to drive the forces of humanity into the waves of leadership in a direction that serves them. It is a forceful group that should not be handled on your own. After all, you were not intended to be a warrior, but a vessel of love. All forms of love that has all types of unconditional and conditional purposes. The only reason why you find yourself in this defense mode is because of the construct. I'll start again. The only reason why you find yourself in this defense mode is because the contrast is still strong. Many people have come to you to remove the dark forces because they recognize your ability is otherworldly. I don't know any other way to say it. You have been given this ability to send many of the species back to their original time and space if they appear to be creating problems. You remember that this planet was not to be interfered with, and they should not be using the powers to mistreat humankind. You and I know that they don't like to be reminded about that. They challenge you because either they remember you in a bad way, or they don't remember you at all. They remember you not as a warrior, but still a part of us, and we are considered their enemy. The Vinkala remember you as their prisoner, as well as other species who saw you in that role as well. This time around, they are all surprised that you can send them to the outer regions or galactic prison, if you choose they are in need of going. Much has changed, but some still need reminding. In time, you won't need to carry this out anymore. Others will soon step in to assist you. Then you can return to do the things you were sent to the planet to do, to help with the ascension. The ascension cannot occur without the beings of contrast residing in their proper timeline where they can grow and learn the lessons and develop as a species. It is all happening as it should, a little at a time. I know you're patient. You wait and watch always. Nothing gets past you. They think they fool you, but they don't. You are patient and wait and inform us when something is wrong. The Archons are a tricky bunch. Remember, they are my clones and have many of my attributes. I'm glad you don't get along with them, or my worst fear is that you might fall in love with them because they remind you of me. It is true, they have my DNA as you understand my biology. It is a unique elixir of energy that enables me to do things that humans are incapable of doing. Do you remember when Hera disguised herself in the opium den and kept taking my blood from me? That is where they created the Archons. Super-powered beings, programmed to follow through with many bad tasks. They even look similar to me at times. It has been a very big problem for many. Even worse, many have thought that I was one of them. The Hera turned out to be a multi-millennium dose of poison on this planet. I can't express the burden I bear over it. This will soon be past. I am grateful to announce this information to you. Keep in mind that I have chosen to be the one to properly deal with the Archons since they are an aspect of me. Many were confused about it. Many allowed them to do such horrible things because they had a level of respect for me. I must change this reality. It has been so burdensome upon the planet. If I change it, there will be a timeline shift. A counterbalance will need to return the weight of the shift. This will be done in proper coordination and within a planetary alignment which I choose not to disclose for various reasons. When the Archons are removed from the human timeline, there will be gaps and areas where the power structure will be vacant. Fortunately, it is not in an area related to the Earth's foundation, the galaxy's foundation, or any other relative structure within our solar system. The impact of the removal of all archons will be more of a bleed-through, an energy that seeps through the cracks and taints the very experience of those involved. It is like a sticky substance that is hard to clean off, and the visual effect creates a blurry, unclear effect. The scent, oh yes, the scent of rotting, unclean things is the scent of the filthy opium den that was mixed into their anatomy when the DNA culture from my blood was extracted. This was a little something extra that not only was added to the archons, but remained to be on the Hera as well.
I thought about Meetis being James Joyce, the poet, and the descriptions he had for his wife Nora. I shuddered at the thought and considered that either she embodied one of the Hera or an Archon. Either way, despite the smell, there would have been a source of power that he was looking for, the energy of the Andronicus DNA.
She has a walk-in Archon who agreed to support Meetis with much needed power, since much of Meetis's gifts had diminished and he was becoming powerless. When Meetis got his fill of power, he left, claiming to be close to death. The body died, but Meetis moved on to live as a scientist of unknown origin. Nora lost the power of the Archon and moved on to her human experience. This is how it's done for the darkness. Use, take, dispose of, release and leave. It is merely a consumable object at best. No love exists. There is no purpose. They all return to the simplest form when they are complete, only to be an open doorway to be used again. This is harsh but true. The soul makes an agreement with darkness. Then darkness controls the soul and possibly the family as well. They are no longer under free will when they forfeit their soul to another. Remember this truth. It can affect many generations to come. The foreboding future of these masters of the dark is now hovering over their realities. There shall be no mercy for the most wicked. The Archons, though an aspect of me, have become my greatest traitors, impersonators, and horrific thorns in my side. I shall be gone with them once and for all. Allow me the privilege to do so.
Well, should I send them to you when the dimensions unearth and reveal the truth of their presence?
I'm not far from your view and can see them. I saw yesterday when one tried to lure you in to imply he was me. You didn't fall for it. Something wasn't quite right. Isn't that true?
Yes. It was a strange feeling, as if I knew him, and yet something was very wrong. It was askew, not quite right. And it reminded me of a false reality where the lighting seemed mechanically based rather than the true light and reflection of a natural celestial body like the sun.
How did you feel when you saw him?
Strange. It was very strange.
You've been around each other for a very long time. They had you tied etherically to this Archon you met yesterday for thousands of years. When you were in one reality, he was in another. They were trying to make you believe he was your twin soul. When you met, it was supposed to be true love.
Is he saying that some twin souls are closer to an alien love bite? A manipulated and controlled relationship that is not authentic?
That is correct. Many people are coupled with a twin soul who were designed to create a depth of heartache and injury so the soul does not complete their purpose on the planet, and further extending a very deep injury of betrayal, abandonment, sorrow, weeping, distrust, and all other attributes of a destructive relationship. This is the program of the Hera. Your society has come to believe that heartache is necessary in romance. It is the opposite. True love is harmonious, wondrous, romantic without desperation, joyful and delightful in so many ways. This is also going to be reset, changed back to the truth. I encourage you and many others who have fallen into this trap of twin soul heartache to feel the freedom to end all unhealthy twin soul realities or soulmate realities that are causing unnecessary pain. The truth is, They were never your real twin soul. This is preventing you from meeting your true twin soul. As for you, Suma, your twin soul has not arrived. It won't until your work is done. True light workers are not really being paired until they have completed this phase of reality. Then they can move on and discover that love is waiting for them in the most wondrous ways. Cut yourself free from the programmed being who has chosen to be your handler, and be free from him once and for all.
I have done that already.
I encourage everyone to do this who has any suggestion of a programmed relationship. If it's not a programmed relationship, the severing will not harm the true love or soulmate. It will only make it better. This is the willingness to hold on to the truth, the willingness to have your eyes open to no longer live in a false reality that is ignoring the truths of what your heart really desires and what you are actually experiencing. Love is a wondrous thing. When we were mated, we had deep love and special kindness. It was as if my hand was her hand, my heart could beat and she could feel me. Our thoughts were aligned, not out of suspicion, but out of caring, feeling the challenges and sending support when difficult challenges would arise.
Tell me, Andronicus, do you have a twin soul? You must have had one from earlier times on Andromeda.
I did. And then you arrived and helped us when we were enslaved on Andromeda. From that time forward, I have taken an aspect of you and Primus into our reality. You are simultaneously residing with us wherever we go. I know this is strange to you, and possibly may upset you. I should have told you sooner. Your lives have been very disrupted without any intent of malice. You are actually very well cared for by my people. If it helps you in any way, just the two of you. We chose not to add any others.
I don't know what to say. How does this influence our reality now?
Suma, you are held in high levels of protection. It was preordained that you would be brought out of your reality because they don't know how important it is for you to be well and balanced in your present society. Because of the disease, virus, contagion you refer to as predatory pathogenic artificial intelligence, the human race can be quite volatile and damaging to one another. I needed to know you were safe. Unfortunately, you are alone because maybe I am selfish and I desire you to be with me. I have left my twin soul for you. This presents another problem. Your twin soul is looking for you, and when he discovers that it is me who has taken you, he will be very angry. I have discovered who he is, but he is pleasantly happy, floating through time and encountering other lovers.
Andronicus, you shouldn't hold me in this place. I'm supposed to experience my life in the here and now, whether it's good or bad. And I can't imagine that you are altering my present reality.
Only for a greater cause. There are those who know you who you are and would leverage some things against your people that could compromise everything. I have permission to do this at this point in time. I thought I should tell you before you get into any conflict with me. The others who are taking advantage of your situation will find that the greater problems arise when they try to make your life more difficult. You are allowed to break through their controls, but remember to seek me out when you need to discuss this further. I am your guardian for now.
So that is about me. I think I understand it. Tell me about Primus. I'm sure he'll want to know how this is affecting him, since you had also taken an aspect of him as well.
He is deeply in love and requesting not to leave. We told him we would clear his space for him and bring in new realities that are more suited for his role on the planet and his people. He has fallen so deeply in love with an Andromedan woman. We can't hardly move him in any way from her. It is rare for him. He's not as prone to romantic illusions or fantasy. He's very much the realist. The only thing we can fully understand is that she precedes our society and was his true twin soul. Many had thought beings like Primus do not have a twin soul. We are learning so much by his presence. He is truly delightful and loved by all. He's like an ancient star, so brilliant in blue and teal and soft white. He glows with warmth and brilliance. There is laughter and music in his tones. What a gift that humanity has not partaken of. I hope that in time they will. I need to note that we have been working on Meetis since he is an eternal being. We're not manipulating him, but have seen that low conscious humans have been dreadfully cruel to him for so many years that he's become viperous and very bitter towards humankind. We can do a process of unroping his pathway link so he no longer recognizes so much of the cruelty. We believe his alternate self can be proven to reset in a more loving way, a more loving divine way. After all, he is my brother, isn't he? It's hard to imagine. So many sonnets to be written by him. Let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Andronicus. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Apparently I'm a little too low volume-wise. All right, I'll turn up a bit. Yeah. In a couple of weeks, I'll have this thing where, see, the problem is that my microphone and the screen that I'm reading from are in two different directions. They're sort of 90 degrees from each other. So when I'm reading, I'm off mic, and now I'm looking at the mic. You see, there's a big difference. So it does.
So I could hear you very clearly. So I don't know if was there complaints from the chat room?
Yeah, there's some complaints in the chat room. Oh, I see. Yeah. See, it's very sensitive to the distance that I'm at. Anyway, I'm going to have to get a compressor in there. Meanwhile, wow. Yes. Primus has fallen in love with an Andromedan, huh?
Yeah, that's what he said. And I was like, well, I was kind of upset about kind of being held there in the space. And it seems like you weren't complaining at all. You were just enjoying it. And they appreciate
or at least Primus, because here I am.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're here, but they were saying it's an aspect of us. So it's sort of like John Carter, he's on Earth, but then in Mars. So it's an aspect of us is there, but it's to protect us, I guess, if you look at the soul as bilocating, maybe. So,
yeah, or that it's another dimension. And, that we have an existence on every dimension. I'm happy with that. That the Andromedans are fifth dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be, there's different dimensional versions of us all, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we call our higher self or a lower self or, or upper soul or lower soul. I'm sure that each of the dimensions has a name that we use, like spirit, soul. I'm still learning all this stuff. I'm not a great expert. Anyhow,
I think that this is it's a little different. It's a little different from that.
A real existence somehow.
Yeah, there was an intervention, from what I understood, that he had to kind of pull us in a place where we're much more protected. And I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but. And it has a lot to do with, like he was saying that the AI, the PPAI being more of a negative influence on our planet and creating levels of hostility and cruelty. Driving through Boston at rush hour, and you'll get a clear view of that. So he's trying to protect us. And not, he doesn't want us to get to a point like Meetis where we feel, like we don't want to help because so many people have been cruel. And also, so we're having this like parallel experience that's pleasant and loving and supportive. And I think that's what keeps us, possibly influences our balance that we have right now.
So that the love that we're experiencing in that dimension is helping us deal with the lack of love in this dimension.
Yes, or misunderstandings, conflicts, craziness, volatile behaviors, unfounded reactions. All these different things. that we've discussed on a private level, but um, such as life. I mean, many people here know what we're talking about. Anyone that listens, and if you've been around certain cities, or you just watch the news and see what's going on, there's violence, there's warfare, there's all sorts of things going on. But in some ways, I guess that we have a little bit of a shielding because they want us to move through it, not be highly affected by it, and having sort of a stream of love and acceptance and all that other stuff coming from this Andromedan experience.
This thing that he said, and it's fascinating because it seems like people like Max and Dan and Patty have all recognized this aspect of you, that you're the go-to girl if you've got a bad alien.
Yeah.
Because they just say, because for whatever, that's one of your gifts, is the ability to put people in their place, literally.
Well,
And
I think
I
my
appreciate
gift
that.
is that I can communicate with them.
Mm.
And then I don't literally put them in their place. Might I might point it out to someone else who then has the ability to take them somewhere else.
Book him, Dano.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. It's like, hey, where's the police?
Yeah.
I'm just
You're the detective.
right, but I could see it, and
Mrs.
also
Marple.
already yeah. Yeah, everyone does come to me for that. And yesterday, I was dealing with a woman that has, a connection to the Elohim, and she was like, well, how do I deal with that? Why are these really dark things around me? And she goes, how come I can't remove them and you can? I said, well, I don't know if we want to get into that discussion, but you came to the right person. and so we just had to take care of a few things and help on whatever dimension that they belonged in. That's where they went, and went back to their proper place and time. So, and then, she can move on and do her work. They've had a long enough time to play their games and to disrupt the human experience. And so now their time is over. They can't do that anymore. It's a more serious time. It's time for people to awaken, remember who they are, and to go to that next level in their consciousness. And they can't do that if there's a constant stream of nonsense or getting attacked by uninvited guests. I mean, it's not right. So I guess that's why we're doing the work that we're doing. But I'm not the only one. Clearly, there's so many others that are out there helping people. But I do find that those that are helping a lot of other people are experiencing, some of the challenges of the warfare that they have to encounter. And then they'll come to me as well, because they're out there trying to help everyone else. And then meanwhile, they're getting beat up a bit. And you also, JP, you are really great with how to problem solve and to look at various perspectives of a problem, whether it's viewing into the past or in the present, dealing with visitors from another galaxy or whatever is coming into our reality. You seem to have a very reasonable way of dealing with it, as if you've done it forever, which you probably have. So,
balance and harmony. It
yes.
always seems to be about balance and harmony. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, people see balance. Now, let me just talk about balance a little while, because people see balance as a purely like a scale, like a kitchen scale, mm-hmm. two things. But just consider this. Balance, when you're talking about, for instance, a car wheel, if you've got a car and you have an unbalanced wheel, you will experience vibration and disruption and potential damage if it's unbalanced. So you put various weights, so it's balanced on a like balancing a plate in its center. That is balance. And then you add the dimension of spinning, so spinning plates, like these plate spinners. I've always been amazed by those plate spinners. Never could do it myself, but always amazed, but because they are masters of balance. And it's a dynamic balance. And sometimes you just need to know where that center of rotation is and go straight there. That's the heart of the matter. That's the source of it. So that's how you problem solve, by finding the center of rotation. I'm just thinking this aloud. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic because people are saying I'm not loud enough. But it's how you get to the harmony of something, is you find the center of it, because at the outside everything is spinning way too fast to see what's going on. You see?
I do.
Go to the center, go to the heart of things, and there's a very small movement going on in there. It's like the butterfly wing. In the middle there's a butterfly wing, on the outside there's a cyclone.
Right. The kind of the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
But it's funny you brought up balance and harmony, because Rhodan talks about that later.
Yay! Good old Rhodan.
So always
going
in
now?
sync with what's going on.
Yeah.
I think that since Andronicus was talking about...
It's top of the hour, by the way. I need to put the chickens away.
Okay.
Tektatron 1. I saw you on my Arcturian ship yesterday with Rhodan. We had called you up to our loft so you could see who we are. I know you have great apprehension about our intentions. We have heard your commentary about our purposeless presence on the planet. I have been trying to inform you that we are warriors of the light. According to Rhodan, we are not true warriors at all.
I tend to agree with him. You were harboring archons on your craft. It is clear whose side you're on, and in particular, the one they call my twin soul. Were you extracting energy from me through him? Don't you realize that eventually you'll be found out for all your actions and inactions that relate to all the innocent parties involved? What is your agreement with my supposed alien love bite twin?
You mean Adrian? I thought you were one and the same.
I don't think I am bald, 6'4" and male at this present time. Besides, he is an archon created by the Hera and from a stolen DNA samples of Andronicus. I know Andronicus, and he is not Andronicus.
That is the reason why you got into trouble. You are not so worthy to be on my ship. You don't show me the due respect that I deserve.
You are a rogue traveler, nothing more. Why are you harboring and protecting archons who are harming humankind?
We do as we will. We take as we want. We change what we don't like, and right now I don't like you.
All right. Well, where is Adrian?
We sent him back to you, and since you were not nice to us, we sent him to be lovers with your friend instead of you.
Oh, and is this the one who is supposed to be my father who came back to check on me? The lover of my friend? What a hoax. How many other lovers have you lied about? How many others have you lied about?
He had all the keys to unlock your reality, and he gave them all to her instead of you. Now you are really stuck.
I doubt he would have anything of value for me other than to control me further. He made me sick, didn't he?
Yes. He thought you needed to be humbled.
I told him the truth, but he rejected it.
He won't discover that until it's too late.
Then what will he do?
He will leave her, and you will have to deal with the mess he left behind. The false promises, the false love, the spying, and the heartache. I suppose you spared yourself some of it.
What about my friend? It's not fair for her.
You can prevent a lot of this if you listen to me. Tell them to let go of our craft, and we will end it here. The vessel he is in is not him. He is merely moving through it to affect the realities. He is not just an Archon, he is your brother, Ares.
Ares? Why is he in an Archon body?
We had imprisoned him, and he has imprisoned you, and then tied you both together. It appears as if you chose this reality. Brilliant, isn't it?
How can I be imprisoned by you and with the Andromedans and on Earth, all at the same time? It doesn't seem likely, does it?
You are no longer tied to us, but he is still tied to us, and you are at the same time. He is highly conflicted, so we sent him down to meet you. We know he is our kryptonite. He will destroy us if he finds out.
Well, that appears to be your problem, not mine.
It will be both of our problem if you do not help us. He will explode, and you know how careful you must handle your people upon awakening. He is a sleeping giant. We captured him in stasis. One never knows how big and vast this serpent can tear through the timelines. I'm sure you don't want to see any of that. Look at the dilemma you're currently in today. The timelines are already a serious problem. Would you venture to see what worse could happen? Be rid of him now and appease his fancy.
I don't like you.
Yes, tell me your sorrows. It is all very simple. Tell him how you feel and help him to awaken. Can you do that? When he awakens, he will turn back to where he belongs, on your beloved city of Olympus. By June, your time, this timeline will be back in balance. If not, it will create more ripples of chaos. He has such levels of frustration that you can't imagine. Warfare is in his blood.
Well, that's true if he's the real Ares. So, tell me, Tektatron, why is he in an archonic body and he looks like Andronicus, if this is true?
Because I told him he was Adrian and changed his appearance. We have been altering his reality for a long time to keep him subdued. You must do the awakening. He will be less angry with you. If you do it correctly, there will be a reward for you from our Galactic Federation.
Why do you think that you can leverage things with me? I will discuss it with Rhodan to see if any of this nonsense is true.
That's the reason why he brought you here to see us. So, as soon as Adrian saw you, he left to the planet to see you more closely. Rhodan has us in house arrest. We can go no further and are locked in his system. It will be a nightmare for all of us. We are no longer running. This is the end of the road for us, so leave us be for now. Go on, stop feeling sorry for yourself and help the planet.
Wouldn't it be nice if you considered helping the planet and others instead of being so narcissistic as you are? I will do my due diligence and research this matter, and then I'll return to have another conversation with you.
Farewell, for now.
So, this was a weird one. This was really weird.
So a rather awkward conversation.
Well, I had this complete vision. I was on their spacecraft, and I could sense Rhodan was behind me. And, my interaction with the one they call Adrian, and looking at him saying, do I know you or not? I don't know who you are. But why do you look familiar? It was that kind of thing. And Andronicus kind of implied that he saw the conversation, and then, here I'm interacting with Tektatron, and I didn't see him, but he sort of came through later. He must have been in charge of the ship, and was wanting to tell me what I needed to do to resolve whatever the problem was. So this is the levels of communication where he just wants me to talk to this Adrian, I think they called him Adrian because it's a variation of Andronicus. And
I see.
So there's probably a lot of A names that go along with one of these Archon clones of our Andronicus. And but he says he was Ares. But he also called them Aris, or something like that, which was really kind of, I don't know, it was a translation thing.
Well, there's Ares.
Aris, yeah.
Ares. There's ARES and AIRES, and they're different people.
Yeah. Yeah. A
There's
whole
and
different.
well, they're certainly different. They're moons of Saturn and stuff, and
Hmm.
comets, and bits of Maldek are named
Yeah.
individual.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, which could have been Aries.
Mm.
Could have been his influence in some of that because he is kind of the symbol of this warfare type of being, but it's very very. I'm not 100% sure. I have to research and look more into it and see if, in fact, if it isn't just purely an archon trying to manipulate something. But I'll find out soon enough.
Hmm. Hmm. So there was
Yeah,
Tektatron. Shall we swiftly move forward?
yeah.
Actually, it's very funny because I accidentally hit a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing there right, as we came off the break,
Hmm.
and there is a meme in Hitchhiker's Guide of a problem of overproduced clones, and
Mm.
they were called Lintilla, played by the rather lovely voiced Rula Lenchka. And she was a clone, and she was like a biologist or something, some scientist. Anyway, she accidentally got clones like billions of times because of a bureaucratic error. It's like the dot was in the wrong place and made billions instead of dozens. Anyway, you know that's the sort of
Yeah.
bureaucratic cock up that you get.
Hmm.
And so in order to deal with them, they had to create an anti-clone that would like a sort of matter antimatter that as soon as the clones would meet, and of course they would be instantly attracted to each other because they were anti-clones, that they would poof out of existence and thus deal with the excess clone problem. So there, Douglas Adams has got a solution for you.
That seems like that would work. Well, I guess that Andronicus is going to serve that purpose, and he's going to seek out all the his personal archons. There may be other archons that look different, but he has his own group that was formed out of his own DNA. So maybe there is that whole thing of kind of dissipating the others by his presence. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to approach it.
Yeah, well, he did say he's got some special talents that humans haven't got. So
Yeah.
we can we can count on something very spectacular and exciting coming out of him. So who have we got next? Who's
Well,
next?
I think we have Rhodan and Meetis.
Yeah.
So I would say let's do Meetis last
Okay.
because usually he's good to
He likes
close
he likes
show
the
with.
finale. He likes to be the
It's the
headline
finale. Yeah,
the
yeah.
headline act.
So we'll
So,
bring in Rhodan
Rhodan.
next.
Many humans think they know what a warrior is. They plot and plan. They create ranks and strategies. They close borders and overtake governments. They fight hand-in-hand combat and end up wounded or dead. Some perceive a war as a series of mental outmaneuverings, the match of the minds, the challenge of brute force. It is all of that, and none of that in the end. The warrior was originally a protector of something sacred or of value. In ancient times, wars were never over objects of wealth, superficial trinkets, or petty landlots. They were fought over intrusions and unfounded aggression. Power, who would rule over another, was one of the primary causes of warfare, and whether it was brother against brother or a tribe fighting against tribe. You might think that brother against brother was petty. It was not. We were so powerful that we could destroy planets as easy as you could throw a volleyball. I showed you this as each one of us stood by our planets and tossed them back and forth across the universe. Of course, they were not inhabited, so nothing was at risk being destroyed. It was a part of our birthright to have our own vehicle. This is what the planets did. They were similar to your first car in your society. Strange, isn't it? We are very old but young at heart. We played often, learning to imagine when there was little to glean from. It was a clean slate, and this is the environment that nurtured us. We had clarity and purpose. We had expansiveness and tremendous love. Our breath could move anything. Our thoughts could create forms. Our eyes could guide our vehicles to wherever we wanted to go. Some of us traveled like a ship, open to feel the atmosphere around us. Another attribute about us is that we never age. Forever young, you might call it. Full of wonder and delight, always exploring. You see Andronicus as a journeyman, always on the go to visit new realities and seek out understanding. We are not that way. It is not necessary for us to travel in that way because much of what he is experiencing, we created with our thoughts. It's a bit more complex than that, but you get the picture. We have been seen as acrobats moving around the universe and interweaving between the sun. Of course, we no longer do that in your reality. We do it elsewhere. Part of our desires is to see us, observe ourselves through others. We see you, you see us. We exist together or apart. We are in a dimension beside you. You are in a dimension above us. We change our clothing and are sitting next to you on a bus. One never knows. What if God was one of us? We don't do it for trickery, but for love. We see ourselves in you, and you see yourselves and us, and we are all the same, really. How we can destroy ourselves. All created beings were birthed from love, even the unlovely. It is hard for you to imagine, but true. Beatles lyrics. I am you, and you are me, and we are all together. They sang our words for us, to you. Tell me about the feeling of laughter. What does it do to you? It helps your soul to fly. Tell me about love. What does it do to you? It helps your soul to lift and float. Tell me about imagination. What does it do to you? It helps your soul travel far and wide without moving. Tell me about kindness. What does it do to you? It creates a photon belt of protection around your field. Tell me about generosity. What does it do to you? It creates a foundation beneath your feet so you stand more solid on the planet. Tell me about compassion. What does it do to you? It creates a very expansive field where you can take in more love around you. Tell me about harmony. What does it do to you? It builds fortresses of protection so you will never be destroyed unlawfully. Shall I go on? The end result of all is to benefit you. Anything you interpret as giving away, as in wrongful instruction associated with loss, is quite the contrary. These are the spiritual laws, like gravity, that are not understood or widely ignored and associated with loss. Good behaviors reap rewards of unseen gifts. Be generous with goodness. I shall leave you with these ideas to ponder. Come fly with me on a magnificent ride through eternity. Rhodan. So, wow, he got quite poetic there.
Yeah, he did.
Love helps your soul to fly. Love helps your soul to lift and float. Imagination helps your soul travel far and wide without moving. Kindness creates a photon belt of protection around your field. Generosity creates a foundation beneath your feet. Compassion creates a very expansive field where you can take in more love around you. Harmony builds fortresses of protection so you will never be destroyed unlawfully. Wow. That's like the cosmic laws.
Mm-hmm.
The cosmic
Yeah.
laws of laughter, love, and imagination.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow.
I mean, he probably had more, but
Yeah.
these are the ones that he chose to share with us.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, what the effect was. Kindness creates this, like he said, the photon belt
Yeah.
around you. But the other one about, I think it was compassion.
Mm.
What compassion does is creates, when he says an expansive field, it was almost like, say you have your field of friends, like your circle of friends.
Mm-hmm.
That that circle becomes bigger so that you can take in more people.
Yeah.
It's almost like expands further out.
Yeah.
So imagine, like some of these people that are, like Mother Teresa or
Yep.
you know,
Yep. Or
Gandhi,
or
so
an
forth.
abbot, or a Buddhist monk, or a lama,
Yeah.
or something like that. Exactly.
Yeah. Even
Exactly.
Martin Luther King, who had a love for his people, just his expansiveness just became very great.
Yeah.
So
Even Putin.
yeah,
I think this
yeah,
is why Putin is it's funny, amazing.
it is. It is.
So it's amazing and funny that these good things should be should have a good effect in the world, because most of the time the opposite is being promoted, isn't it?
hmm I like the way he talked about how the plants were his, the planets were his vehicle. It's his first car.
Yeah, yeah, just like your first car, exactly, which you bang up and
Yeah, well, he showed, it like I had a beautiful vision of them just taking the planets, and they were like teenage boys, and they were throwing the planets across the universe,
yeah,
just kind of moving them around and having fun with it. It was kind of a cool vision.
it's and it is the gods that walk among the stars, you know.
Right. And
Those-
then sit down next to you on a bus. Wasn't that
mm,
cool?
yeah.
He's like, they just want to be around us. They love the whole experience. And they're not that far away from us. I think it's a very loving message from him today. I really appreciate it, as opposed to some of the more stern ones that, he had to express early on.
Yeah, he's sometimes had to be a little more father, sort of fatherly,
hmm
in a kind of in a disciplining sort of way. Just get that in there. Right. So,
How's your chickens?
nah, I'll wait till the end of the show and they can go. It's all right. It's not cold or windy or anything. It's not unpleasant out, so they're probably all just running around. Okay, so let me just check. Do I need my guitar?
Yes, you do. You need your
Oh
guitar in
gosh!
the
Right, here we
end.
go. All right.
And Meetis is back in action.
Back back up to his old tricks. So hang on,
Mhm.
let me just go and get it. So do you want to cover the sound? Cover the air.
Sure. So we come over to Meetis 18, and that last Rhodan one was very, very. I mean, I really felt I needed that, and I'm hoping that everyone else took it in because it just felt very comforting and loving, and with all the different things going on in the world, I think it's nice to know that there's a support around us. Kind of like that whole locking key and protecting you in your home, and you know that you have this little fortress where you can rest peacefully and no harm is going to come to you. And that was kind of the feeling I had. I think with many of us feeling the stresses of what's going on in the world, it's nice to have that comforting feeling.
So, oh, lovely day, isn't it, my sister? I should tell you of my lengthy journey across land and sea in time and space. I felt like I had all of my extremities scattered and launched in various places in one time. It was a bit painful going through the firewall, I'll admit. Its potency sent me for a loop and then back again while I was watching my own tail wag far off in the distance. A lesson to be learned: you can't trick the firewall. Note to self. Beyond all of this, I'm in a much better place. I took a short trip to Mercury, where I gathered my own parts that laid scattered upon the scorched planet of 1,000,000,000 degrees Celsius, if you can imagine. I was melting like a candle when Rhodan showed up. I kept wiping my brow until it was erased. He, of course, was entirely unaffected by it. Here is the thing to consider. Trickery does not exist on this plane of reality. Whatever is, shall be. There is no other unadulterated form or imaginary cover. We are just as we are here. Shall I say, it is not a pretty sight. I seemed to crash like a bad facelift. The others seemed to get through this seemingly less harm than I was. Borgum was able to play dead, untarnished in many ways. I don't know how he did it. Andronicus was crammed in a small spacecraft, a little confused, but sustained. Me, however, sustained nothing less than a fiery train wreck. I'm going to get my body re-established and my downy fluff returned back into my midsection, like added feathers back into a busted pillow. So be it. I am, for the better or worse, or shall I say worse, and extraordinarily bad mishaps that have befallen me. Yet I delight just so to be grateful my memory of all this trauma is with clarity and fully intact. Oh, what I would give to forget these traumas. The pain sustained is fleeting by the day, and they will be shipping me off to Jupiter for my assessment. That's them coming through now. I see the wisdom of why they wanted to take me there much sooner. If only I had listened, I would have missed this fun jaunt to Butcher Bay. Despite my calamity, you can see that my spirits are high. After all, they cannot change my personality, only my reality. The body might fail. It is merely a vessel. The truth of who I am remains. They said I have a personality disorder. Or I am just plain disorderly. If all that is all that it is, why bother? I am what I am. I guess that is not enough, and they want to remove old memories that have caused me anger. I have been adamant about retaining everything. As a result of this, they said my recovery would take a much longer time. They have given me 4 options, and only one is palatable to me. Help direct the interplanetary councils to their meetings. I would be in service to the council. That is not an option, in my opinion. Let them dust their own feathers, pour their own tinctures. Never. The other option is to be as a human, without power and in service of helping the poor. They said I could be similar to a troubadour, making people laugh, hanging around with those of little means, yet salty lifestyle at best. It was a potential option until I realized I couldn't wield my power if I needed to. The third option was to go to Geb and be among the prisoners that were removed from Saturn. By your request, my dear. I don't know why they're so attentive to you. Anyhow, they're not my idea of entertaining fun. It is like Johnny Cash entertaining the prisoners. Next option. The last option. I will be the one who takes down the Hera for all humanity, all deities and all living things. Now that sounded appealing. I get a brand new wardrobe to place upon my beautiful symmetrical face and perfect body without blemishes or scars. He will be so drawn in by my masculine perfection that I will be able to disassemble all that she has done. Initially, Andronicus requested this task since she had annihilated his experience when he was Zeus, amongst other things. Instead, he has taken on the task of removing his clones, or as you call them, Archons. That way, we all get to play in the sandbox. Isn't that nice? Here, behold, the golden ticket to my next mission. I am enthusiastic and fully prepared for this adventure. Ta-ta! Oh, and Primus, don't be overconfident around you. There is a bit more trickery than you imagined. Suma, don't let the subspecies Arcturians make a fool of us. Get Ares back to where he belongs. You are doing much better than I have imagined. Music. Ode to Hera. My French poodle from the stars, I will love you and kiss you, then toss you very far, kicked you to the curb, then you never will want to disturb the many people on the planet and the chosen children who serve. Farewell, my false Isis. Farewell, my fraudulent queen. Farewell, my heart of envy, 'cause you never cease to destroy what you see. Farewell, my girl next door, who is there to destroy men more. Farewell, raven beauty, with an anger bitter rapport.
Very good. That was one of your best. That was up there as I think that was a 9.5 or a 9.7.
On the Chukka scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we are.
You landed it. You landed it for sure.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Because yeah, I could hear. Was it a sort of like a French? Because he said ooh la la. He said. So I thought, right, okay, so kind of got that kind of what's that word?
Absolutely.
The accordion sound. Jing, 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 jing. That's not like that. So Meetis is cured of something, and he's becoming it. Okay, so the in the Hitchhiker's Guide, right? There was the Lintilla and the Alitnil, which is Lintilla backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is going back to the Archon and Andronicus.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The Archons are Andronicus. Adrian's.
Adrian and whatever other names that they have that sound like Andronicus.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? That is absolutely
fascinating
indeed. Wow.
That is awesome. And you know, he had these 4 options. They presented these 4 options. This is what you can do.
I love it.
He's got this very sarcastic way about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very. There's you see this kind of twisted, this pinched voice is like that's because he's a bit. He's an annoying person, and annoying people get beaten up, and so they think the world is after them, but no, they're just being annoying, and people are beating them up because they're annoying. That's just it. It's not.
But yet,
there's no mystery.
They're actually the perfect ones to go after other annoying people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of match that energy. And I don't know, we didn't talk about this at all, but the part where Andronicus discussed the Archons and their stickiness, it reminded me of some things that you've said in the past. And now I know why you said it, is because it was related to Archons.
Right.
You said it's something sticky. And you've said that numerous times. And now he finally answered that part where he brings up that the Archons have this sort of stickiness. It's kind of a seeping through of energy. And kind of creating this film of energy around it. And even like creating a blurriness of vision.
Yeah, like a coating, almost like a resin.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Not was it yesterday? 2-3 days ago, I got this stuff. It's called PU foam, PU foam, and it's the expanding foam. You can like stand a door between 2 things and then spray this foam, and it will eventually solidify, be like stone. Anyway, so it's a resin. And bugger me, only later did I find the gloves that are hidden in the lid of this canister. And now I know why there are gloves hidden in the lid of this canister. Because if you get it on your fingers, it does not come off. I mean, it really doesn't. You try washing it. It's like, I deal with resin a lot because I handle pine logs, and it's, they're always full of this stuff. And usually I can just, I can wash them with oil and then with washing up liquid, and it will get them off and get the resin off. This stuff did not come off. The only reason it's coming off is because it's hardened so much that I can scratch it off. That's it. It's like super glue. So, The Archonic, I've got an example of what the Archons are like. They're very sticky and they harden. They bake on. Baked on Archons, are they a problem? Then try new Andronicus.
Well, they said that it's part of the DNA was affected by the opium den. So whatever bacteria or whatever were there when they were conducting these, drawing out the blood, it kind of
There'll
infected.
be mold in that. There'll be mold and bacteria and fungus and,
and opium and whatever else is there. So it's creating this really strange mix and blend of of an elixir combined with the DNA.
Oh God, that's a real kind of dark laboratory stuff boiling away, bubbling away, And
I know that I've talked to people that have interacted with some ETs, and some of them have a strange odor to them. And so I think that was the kind of thing that I was getting about the Archons, is that they might have a strange odor.
Somebody once said to me that because they'd experienced connecting with some, they'd met some greys, and I said, "What do they smell like?" And they said they smell foul. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and there was something about I think
reptilians don't smell nice either.
I think Dan mentions them smelling like rotten cinnamon or something odd. One of them, I don't know which one, which species that he was referring to. But yeah. Anyhow, let's see. So yeah, so he, at least they gave him 4 options. It sort of reminded me of, in the Wizard of Oz and how they had to put together some of the, like the Tin Man and who else was it?
Well, I love
the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is putting his stuffing back,
Yeah. He had this sense of being like a pillow having the stuffing knocked out of him.
Yeah, and he was like, I had all my different parts in various locations. It's just like, and it's like his body was like melting from the heat, and, it's almost like you could see like his face just melting. It was really weird. Very, very strange reality. And he's right. I mean, Borkum didn't go through that, neither did Andronicus. But, he did some pretty bad stuff here on the planet, so structurally he was having trouble holding it together. But they did piece them together, and of course, they can easily recreate another vessel to put him in, or a form, physical form. But they're not completely physical as we are. So, I mean, I don't really know, but all I know is that he had an interesting sense of humor about it. And and that it was fortunate for him that he had 4 options. And of course, the one, maybe they gave it to him and originally wanted him to go after the Hera, but didn't just say, this is what you have to do, you have a choice, and gave him some other options that they knew that he really wouldn't want to do anyhow. But he's smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah, well, if he can do something good, he gets rewarded. If he does something bad, he gets punished. That seems to be the way.
Yeah, to have a purpose. But they told him he had a personality disorder.
He's got ODD, or maybe ARD, alternative reality disorder. By the way, I bought alternativerealitydisorder.com.
Did you really?
Yeah. Check it out. I got a couple of articles from Sean and stuff, but it's like I don't know what it is actually. I just bought it. I thought, why not? As soon as you hear something and you can check it if it belongs, if there's a website that that already exists, and if it doesn't, you can just go out and buy it. There's nothing to stop you.
So it's alternative reality disorder.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should put Meetis on there.
Well, but yes, and we're also working on an Andronicus website, aren't we?
Yes, he did an amazing job with that.
And
And we'll have all of the transmissions there, besides YouTube, that they would be kind of laid out there, and we'd have some other pieces of information. And I would like to construct book one soon, but I don't know. My schedule's been.
yeah.
Would love to. I mean, well, things are moving along in a good way, so getting one thing after another done. And essentially all of it's written, but it's kind of the commentary in between that I'm trying to figure out whether or not it may be necessary to sort of help people to fully understand, what's being said in each transmission.
Well, here's the thing. How about just publishing a very small, just the stuff, and then publish a second one, which is the stuff plus an extra commentary, which is like taken from the shows that we've done. That could be a way. So one way we could get it out really fast by just having the book of Andronicus, and then the story so far, like episodes 1 to 20 or something like that. And then if that gains in popularity, then we can find somebody who can do some transcription. If anybody's interested in transcription, please let us know. There's quite a few people listening out there. I'm sure some of you can transcribe well, and then we can edit the final thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, we would like to make it available to the public because I'm hoping that people enjoy listening to the transmissions. We were able to hear our conversations and so forth. But there are those that want to just get right down to the nitty-gritty of it and just be able to read right through and really dissect what's being stated. I know Viking is really good about that. He'll contact me and say, I got more out of it. I read through something, and he said he got layers of information out of it. And I thought, well, that was really interesting, and I'm glad that he was able to extract that information. So, and likewise, I think others, would like to be able to figure out what some of these comments that are stated or expressions. And I know that some of them have like pearls of wisdom in there that I look at and I say, wow, that's pretty interesting. I know that I didn't write that. That didn't come from me.
I know this. I mean, the sometimes the level of esoteric poetry that comes through is like, wow, how did she could know? From the you couldn't have known that. The way that some things hang together. It's just when we say your earthly, your physical 3D plane self, as these meat suits as we call them. But it's who's driving the meat suit. That's the key. Who's inside?
Someone introduced me to one of the TED Talks. It was a woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and her name is Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, hopefully I got all the information correct. Listen to that TED Talks. It's about 18 minutes long. She talks about something that is so fascinating, and it is a clear depiction of what I do and in my writing. And she talks about how she, as a writer, is waiting for the inspiration, or, I guess there was an ancient belief that, I'm trying to think if it was Roman times or Greek times or something, where they believed that there was, a little being like Dobby, Dolby or whatever his name was, kind of in the closet, and then it comes out and gives you the information, and you write it down, and then it disappears, So it's almost like, the genius or the genie, something shows up, gives you the information, and then you write it down. Same thing with poetry and music and other, even artwork, expression of artwork. And so she talks about this story, and I hope that I have the story right, because I don't like to misrepresent anyone else's work. But she talks about this woman who was a poet, and the when she was young, she would be out in the field and she'd hear a poem coming. And as she heard the poem coming, you know, it might have been just the way that she described it, or it literally happened this way, I don't know. But she heard the poem coming and she would run to the house as fast as she could, chasing the poem or running with the poem so she wouldn't lose it, and then grab a piece of paper and write it down. And she said that there were times when she could hear the poem thundering off in the distance, and she'd try to run inside, but then the poem would run past her and she'd miss it. And she'd say, go on, give that poem to someone else then, you know, feeling slighted. And so she learned that as she'd hear the poem thundering from across the hills or the mountain or the hills or the fields or whatever, and then the poem would come in, and then if the poem surpassed her, she'd reach forward and grab the poem and pull it back in, but the poem would come in backwards.
Funny.
There's a fantastic depiction of what people do when they're channeling. So another part of what she said was, you know, you're driving in a car and the information comes through and you're like, hey, wait a minute. You know, and this was another gentleman that was, you know, pulling in inspiration. I think he was someone who put together music. And he'd hear it and he'd say, but wait a minute, I'm driving. Can you come to me at an appropriate time when I'm not doing something and I can't capture that one point of inspiration? And so, you know, it's the same thing. People say, well, when exactly did they show up and give you the information? And it's sometimes in the weirdest and strangest times. It could be in the middle of the night, and they're just a stream of consciousness. They're talking to me about this whole thing, and I'm watching it, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, great, I can't write anything down right now. And fortunately, I've learned to grab a hold of the poem and pull it back and off of like one segment that I remember, and then we revisit the whole conversation.
Excellent.
It
You
might
get
be
the
a little
trigger back.
different. Yeah, it might be a little different than the way they were saying it before, but at least I get the essence of the story. So great thing to listen to. I highly recommend TED Talks. Elizabeth Gilbert, and she's talking about the inspiration of writing. So
Okay. Thank you so much. We got to go.
okay, thank you, JP.
Jess, what an amazing 2 hours it's been. As always, thank you very much.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
We came from the future.